करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Hari Om Moth. The topic for the day is 24 Gurus. The most famous Gita that we know is the Bhagavad Gita. There are other texts also which are given the title Gita. There is Ashtavakra Gita, there is Rudra Gita. In the text of Bhagavatam, Krishna himself is the Guru, and he teaches towards the end of the text. He teaches a student who is also his friend called Uddhava, and it is called as Uddhava Gita, which is also a very famous and celebrated portion in Bhagavatam. It may not be as famous as Bhagavad Gita. The reason that Bhagavad Gita is universally famous and everybody is able to relate to it much more because the adhikari there is Arjuna, who is representative of majority of the population, who is a man of action and who has fallen from his state into the state of depression, which is definitely an indicative state of most of us, and therefore to revive him Bhagavad Gita was given. And Uddhava Gita is given to a different adhikari altogether. You will find that even in Gita, though renunciation is the backbone of Vedanta, a lot of emphasis is given on action and how to perform actions, because Arjuna is a man of action. But in Uddhava Gita, the adhikari is Uddhava, who is a highly qualified seeker also. He is at a very high level, and to him when Krishna is giving out the knowledge, there is a lot of emphasis on renunciation and various other subtler topics also. Though the text of Gita is in full, we are talking about what the emphasis is. So in Uddhava Gita, there comes a portion which is also separately taken as what is known as Avadhuta Gita, but it is part of the text, the same text only, and that is where this portion of 24 Gurus come. See, whatever we are going to discuss about these 24 Gurus, these concepts might have been discussed at various points of time in various other texts also. So content wise, what we are going to learn is not nothing new, but it is worthwhile to understand the background of this. So Krishna is giving the knowledge, and along the way he is talking about the great Avadhuta. Avadhuta is nobody except than the great Lord Dattatreya himself. Dattatreya is said to be the avatara or a combination of the Trinity. Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara all together in one form is the great Dattatreya. And so Avadhuta is nothing but no one else except this great Lord Dattatreya himself. Yadu Maharaja is a great king, and he is generally a virtuous and good king, but he goes on tour of his kingdom and he is looking at his own state of mind, and he finds that everybody is having some sort of discontentment, including himself. He is not able to find a peace of mind, so he goes in search of that, and whomever he contacts, whether it is a common person in this country, whether it is some great person also, each and everybody has some problem or the other. They are not feeling content, they are not fully being satisfied. That state of full happiness is not seen on their face. So as he travels along like this, finally he reaches this place where this great Avadhuta is sitting under a tree and not even having a cloth to wear, and that is Avadhuta. That is how his state is. But the moment he comes into his presence, the king himself feels a great sense of satisfaction, a great sense of contentment. This you can take it as one of the tests also. The moment you go near a Mahatma, the moment you go near a great soul, that aura and that vibration that is created there automatically calms your mind. And this is automatic thing that will happen. So as he approaches this Avadhuta, he feels a sense of extreme fulfillment, extreme satisfaction. And the moment he looks at his face, there is what is known as a smile that is there without any reason. It is in Sanskrit they call it as Avyaja Mandasmita. Vyaja means there is a cause, there is a reason, there is a purpose. Avyaja means there is no cause. Mandasmita means a very gentle smile. A very gentle smile on his face is there without any reason. Just as a child will be in a happy state, like that, he is there in a very happy state. So Yadu Maharaja is asking, sir, I see that all those things which people seek in the world, trying to make them happy, none of this you have. He is talking about the basic things. Basic things is, let us say, roti, kapda, makan. Okay? That is food, clothes and shelter. Shelter, what is the shelter? He is just staying under a tree. Food, there's not even a begging bowl near him. Maybe whoever gives, whatever gives, that Avadhuta will have, we do not know. And clothes, obviously, not maybe a cow penis, that also not clear, or Avadhuta naked, he is there. But what is seen is that a very, very peaceful state of mind, which is expressed through his face. So he says, I have everything, and people do have everything, and they are still wanting more towards their happiness. But what is lacking in them is this peace of mind which I see in you. How is it possible? Please tell me. So to which he says, the source of all happiness is the Atma, and that the Atma cannot be procured from outside. It is your original state. It is there within you. And I have realized that Atma within, and that is what is probably expressing itself through me. Very, nicely he is saying that. And he says, if you feel I am capable, kindly teach me also as to how I should gain this knowledge of the self. You seem to have got it. Yes, he says, I have got it by the grace of my Guru, he says. It is by the grace of my Guru that I have got this knowledge. Yadu Maharaj says, my God, I cannot imagine. You yourself are a Guru. You yourself are the Jagadguru. See, this term Jagadguru is interesting. This term Jagadguru is given to Lord Krishna. Shankaracharya, we say Jagadguru. Jagadguru means universal teacher. Universal teacher means, obviously the name suggests that they are the teacher of the whole universe, and whatever they say is actually universally applicable. That's what is really meaning as universal teacher. The eternal principles that are being taught by that universal teacher is not confined to any particular caste, creed, religion, community, man, woman or anything like that. They are eternal principles applicable for all. But interestingly, this term Jagadguru, universal teacher, also means not just the subject matter that is taught about, which is the self. The teacher is also the self within, which is universal. So in that sense also, one who has realized himself from within, he transmits that knowledge to the whole world, you can say. In that sense also it's a Jagadguru. So the Shankaracharya of Kanchi Mutt, who was Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, I think the 68th pontiff, who lived a very great life and attained Mahasamadhi in the 90s. So he was, since he was also in the Pita of Shankaracharya, some people used to call him Jagadguru. And in one of the discourses he says, yes, indeed I am a Jagadguru. You know why? Because he says, he gives a very interesting definition for that. He says, I am Jagadguru because I treat Jagat as my Guru. He says, very, very beautifully put. In other words, the whole universe is my teacher. That is a very beautiful way of interpreting the word Jagadguru. I am not saying it is the actual meaning or something. It is just not interpreting the word. That is how they really feel. And where do we find the source for this? It is in this Avadhuta. So that Avadhuta himself, who we consider as the God himself, who is the avatar of Dattatreya himself, like that it is. And Yadu Maharaj is asking, who is your, so what is the reason for your fulfillment? He says it is the grace of my Guru. And we do see it in all great masters coming out naturally like this, right from the Upanishads. They say, Iti Shushuma Purvesham Yenastar Vyacha Chakshire. Thus have we heard from our great masters. And this is was said by Lord Krishna also. Who was Poornam Brahma Lord Brahma in one of the Leela comes and sees him as Poorna Brahma Sanatanam, he says. Right from the birth he is full Brahman only. That Brahman has come in the form of Krishna is corroborated by Lord Brahma. And that Poorna Brahman, that Krishna, tells Sudama later on, you are a householder. You are having maybe outwardly lot of problems in terms of finance or whatever it is. I am also a householder, but I am a king living in this city of Dwaraka. But irrespective of who you are, what you are, your background and what your current status, irrespective of what I am and what my background and what my current status, he says both of us are Paripurna, and that is the fact. Sudama is also a Paripurna, Krishna is also a Paripurna. And Krishna goes on to say, both of us are Paripurna because of our Guru's grace. That which is the Purna Brahma Sanatanam from the beginning is telling that it is because of Guru's grace that we are Paripurna. And this is what Shankaracharya maintains, this is what every Jagadguru also maintains. It is not, again I am saying, words that come out of their mouth, it is their true feeling inside. So Avadhuta also says, it is my Guru's grace that I am Paripurna, that I am fulfilled. So Yadu Maharaj, with all his reverence and humility, now he says, so please tell me the greatness of your Guru. Who is your Guru? So that is the time that Avadhuta goes on to say that each and every aspect of this world is my Guru. So he goes on to say about 24 things in the world. That is called as this 24 Gurus. It need not be restricted to the number 24. It can be any number also. But he gives 24 Gurus there. And so what is the essence of our learning here is, there is a statement attributed to a great statement by Swami Rama Tirtha. It's a very famous statement you would have seen in the Vedanta treatise also. At least in the original Vedanta treatise it is quoted verbatim. Vedanta brings you a religion which is found in the streets, which is written upon the leaves, which is murmured in the brooks, which is whispered in the winds, which is throbbing in your veins and arteries. A religion which concerns your business and bosom. A religion which you have not to practice by going to a particular church, mosque or temple only. A religion which you have to practice and live in your everyday life. About your hearth, in your dining room, everywhere, you will have to live that religion. Very, very inspiring quote by Swami Ramatirtha. He says, that is how he presents Vedanta. So, this religion of Vedanta, if you want to call it a religion, a universal religion, is found everywhere. Of course, the great texts of Upanishads, they are the source of all wisdom. It is contained in the Vedas. But if you have the eyes, you have to open and see that each and every aspect of the universe is actually teaching you Vedanta, because each and every aspect of nature is living its life in principles of Vedanta only. And in terms of gaining lessons, this is how a good student should be, that if you are able to encounter anything in the life, whatever you encounter in the universe, look in terms of what you can learn from it. And this learning can be in two ways, that what you can learn and apply directly and what you should not learn and avoid. In both cases it is learning. That is, and when will this attitude come? This attitude will come only when we kindle the eternal student in us. The moment you are focused on your self-development, the moment you want to really improve yourself at every stage in life, in every experience in life, you will confront every person, you will confront everything, you will confront every experience as a learning experience. Say for example, there are ways in which that we can read Ramayana and Mahabharata also like this. So how exactly a man should behave, you can learn from certain characters. What exactly we should avoid, that also you can learn from other characters. So that way I would say Yudhishthira is also a teacher, Duryodhana is also a teacher. The great Yadus, when they fought finally among themselves and killed themselves because of excessive indulgent alcoholism, that is also a lesson for us. That how you should not completely lose yourself in alcohol, which will completely take out your intellect away. And same episode of gambling shows that why you should not gamble or what are the consequences of gambling. It's exactly like that. So gambling, that episode is also a teacher for us. And whatever Dana, Karna give, that is also it. So Karna is a teacher. Yudhishthira is a teacher. Bhima is a teacher. If you look at it that way, I am saying. So like that, if you keep yourself open-minded, if you always keep the spirit of the student in you alive, and most importantly, dedicate this life for improving yourself. Forget about whether we reach the stage of self-realization or God-realization. It is just that if we are able to happily take each and every step towards in this direction, you will always find lessons for you at every stage. And not only that, as I said, nature, animal, plants, each and every aspect of the universe, they have no other choice but to live their life according to the set principles, which is nothing but the universal principle of Vedanta only. So that is why we see that each and every one of them are functioning unconsciously in the principles of Vedanta. So in that sense, if you see also, each and every aspect of universe is giving us lessons. So that is what Avadhuta says here. And he goes on to say, who are the 24 Gurus? The first Guru, he says, is Prithvi. Prithvi means the earth. Great thing that he starts with the great mother. What do you learn from the mother? What do you learn from Mother Earth? I learn that what is the value of patience. So much of digging can happen, so many heavy vehicles can go on it, all the dirt can be thrown on it, yet she bears it all. She is so patient. So this patience is a virtue that I learn from Earth. Earth is the Guru. Then who is your Guru? Vayu. Vayu means air. What did you learn from air? Air is the picture of detachment in a way. See, what does air do is, air goes inside you and comes out of you, and yet it does not get attached to you. Whether you are wearing a cloth also, it will go inside out, or you take in terms of your body also, it goes inside you and comes outside you. And so therefore, from air, I know how to relate to people. The example that we can think of immediately is the great Narada. In all the Puranas, in all the stories, Itihasas, you will find this great character Narada. Whether it is a king who is a good person or who is a Rakshasa or who is a Ravana or a Hiranyakashipu also, nobody can deny entry to Narada because he was not an enemy of any person. He will go into the palace of Kamsa also and say something to him and come back. He knows how to relate to every person. And what is the beauty of such relationship is that Narada is not a gossip monger. Wherever he goes, he only spreads the goodness there. So he is like a Sadguru also. So the art of relationship is what I learned from the wind. And that such a wind is always a purifier. Wind, if it doesn't come inside and go outside in a room or anywhere for that matter, that refreshment is not there. So from wind I know the art of relationship. That is, I learned that how to be moving along with people, relating to people, yet not get attached to them. And that type of a relationship, what I offer is actually a benefit for them, which is my presence for them must be beneficial, refreshing. This is what I learned from air. Then who is your Guru? Akasha. Akasha means space. What is it that you learn from space? Space houses everything. Space is the holder of everything, yet it remains independent. In other words, all other elements including earth, including sun, everything is dependent on space, but space is not dependent on anything. It is like that is my real state. I understand. So I may have, in relative terms, if you want to understand, even in terms of whoever and whatever I relate to, my existence is not dependent on them. I may be of solace where they may be dependent on me, yet my existence is not dependent on them. This is what I learned from space. Space houses everything, yet it is not touched by anything. It is completely independent. In its own way, it remains pure. That purity is what my real self is, and this is what I learn from space. Then, apaha. Apaha means water. Water is, what is the quality in water that you learn? What did you learn? It is very pure. It purifies everything. Not only that, it is cool. It quenches thirst. It is the essence. The sapidity is there. And from that I learned I have to keep my mind that way. My mind must be cool. My mind must quench the thirst of others. And it must be purifying. Must be pure, and only then it can even purify others. Water purifies everything. So this is what I learned from water, he said. Then the fifth element. First he covers all the elements. Agni. What is it that you learn from Agni? See, Agni is treated as the tongue of gods, the mouth of gods, isn't it? That is why all the rituals, all the havan, all the worship is done through Agni. Whatever you want to offer to any god, you offer through Agni. And what is the property of that fire? Fire, when it burns everything, it actually takes the essence and leaves the waste. So you find after all the thing is over, the essence of it is burnt up, taken up, and whatever is not required or to be rejected is left behind. Similar thing happens in the fire of our system also, digestive system also. The food that you take, the shakti of it, the nourishment of it, the digestive fire is able to intake that and convert it into energy, and whatever is the remaining thing, it is thrown away as a excreta. It is like that. This is the quality that I learned from fire, that wherever and whoever I relate to, like fire, I am able to absorb the goodness in them and leave the asara, meaning essenceless thing. It's a direct. This is what we talked about in the beginning. See, there is guna and dosha in everybody. Guna and dosha means positive and negativity in everybody. Nobody is exempt. In some it may be more, in some dosha may be more, but that's all it is. We see in Duryodhana also there is a ounce of goodness. In Yudhishthira also there is an ounce of weakness. Everybody is an admixture. Karna, you see that all the characters that are there. So when you confront such a character in your life, or when you confront such a character even in your studies or something, think in terms of what you can learn from them. In Ramayana, I think it is said, what is guna and what is dosha? Not to see the guna dosha of others is the thing, actually. So therefore, when you are able to relate to them, take what is good for you. Always these qualities are given in the textbooks, it is given in Bhagavad Gita and other things. But when you are able to see that functioning in others, it is more easy to grasp. And that is how we learn in life also. Swamiji has also told us certain things like about how the shelves are kept and maintained. He was able to see from his own colleague in the office. So that's what it is. It could be he also talks about not just learning, he talks about even a class member or a devotee who is in Hyderabad who used to maintain like this. So irrespective of what the other characteristics of that person is, this particular thing you are able to take. There was another cousin of him who he said, who has all the vices. You talk about anything, he has gambling and smoking and drinking or whatever it is, everything he had. But he said, whenever there is a group of people sitting and he is also sitting there, when negative talks comes out in the form of gossiping, he is just not interested in that. He will take a book and read and be disinterested in that talk. If it becomes too much, he will quietly go away from that. He said, this I observed in him and I learned this quality. So this is what it is. As a Agni, as a fire, you must be able to take in what is essential and have that capacity to leave out what is non-essential, essenceless. This I learned from fire, he says. The next guru, he says, is Chandrama. Chandrama is moon. What did you learn from moon? Moon goes through this period of waxing and waning. It grows into a full moon, then it goes into a no moon. So this phase of moon that I see, I understand, but I do not relate it to the real nature of the moon. I relate it that it is to the appearance. The appearance of the moon is that it comes and goes, but the real moon is there in full. Exactly like that. The Atma seems to be born and dead in a body. The body has a birth, the body has a death. It is the ignoramus who think the Atma is born and the Atma is dead. Atma is neither born nor dead. It is there eternally within us. But it appears to be born and dead in a body. So, with this example of moon, I understand that I should not get caught up by this appearance of this body, but I should really get into the essence of it, which is the Atma, which is beyond the birth and death. Next he says, Sun. Sun is my Guru, Surya. Sun is also more or less in the same principle. Sun is one indivisible, infinite entity, as it were, in this example. But the sun appears to be divided in all the reflecting media. Suppose you keep 9 vessels full of water. In all the 9 vessels, the sun will reflect. The walls of the equipment seems to contain the sun, but that is not the case. Exactly like that, how much ever is the mind and intellect and whatever is the reflecting media that is there, the Atma seems to be divided in each and every one of us as Atma in you and Atma in me. But in essence, the Atma is an indivisible entity. The Atma appears divided because of Upadhi. Upadhi means the inner equipments. So it is the equipments that sort of create this apparent division. Actually, it is indivisible. And when I look up at the sun, I understand this. When my focus is on reflection, it may appear to be divided. But when I look at the sun, I understand it is one indivisible entity, and that is what is the essence of the Atma. That I understand. So Surya is my Guru. Then he says Kapotaka. Kapotaka means pigeon. So obviously certain things are there with reference given to a particular story. So here is a pigeon which is happily living with his wife, very loving couple, and they also have chicks after that. So the young pigeons are also there in a happy family. As a happy family, they are living in a tree. A hunter comes and spreads the net, and very ignorantly the young birds go and get caught up in that net, and the mother bird then helplessly follows them, and she also gets caught in the net helplessly, deliberately. And now this pigeon is also very helpless and deliberate. Forcibly it also goes and for the love of that children, it gets caught. Finally all of them are carried by the hunter. Now what I learned from this pigeon is, there is no condemning the emotions that the pigeon has, but ultimately I understand this is what attachment will lead to. My attachment to my own young ones, my family, this attachment where I bind myself unnecessarily, unintelligently, is called as samsara. So from this pigeon, I understand what will be the effect when I get deep into my samsara. It will ultimately cause the downfall of all. Swami Ram Tirtha again puts it very, very powerfully. He says, if a person gets attached to an object or a being, he has to suffer. Any person attached to anything, he has to suffer. It is an irrefragable law. Either the object will be taken away, or there will be a rupture in relationship, or the person will die. He says very, very powerfully. He makes this statement not to infuse fear in the minds of audience, but he is stating the law in a very unambiguous way. That is the power of attachment. It is when we relate to anybody based on our selfishness that love gets into the mold of attachment. And that attachment is going to spell disaster for both the lover and the beloved. So this is what I learnt from the Pigeon, he says. And then he says Ajagara. Ajagara means python. Even in terms of sannyasa, there is a vritti called as Ajagara vritti, it is said. But what is this? What is it that you learn from python is very interesting. With its huge body, python cannot move here and there fast. Even if you see in the National Geographic Channel, whenever they show a python moving, it's a very slow movement. You won't even know whether it is moving or not. So it's basically confined to one place. If it is slowly climbs a tree, it will hang from there for a long time. That's all it is. Or it will be sleeping in one place for a long time in a bush. Like that it is. It cannot move its body, which is very big. So then, what is the way to eat then? Whichever comes nearer, it will engulf it and catch it. That's all it is. So one day a big deer can come. Another day a small mouse can be there. It only eats whatever comes near it. One day it could be to its liking, one day it need not be to its liking, but it is satisfied with what it gets. So this, he says, is the life of a great renunciate. He is absolutely content with whatever is given to him unsought. This is the lesson that I learned from Python, that whatever has been handed over to me, I take it as a prasad of the Lord and be satisfied by it. It may be to my liking, it may be to my dislike. Sometimes it can be big, sometimes it can be small, but I just remain content. I will not move here or there in that sort of a introverted state. And that is a state that is talking about a real renunciate, but this applies to all. This applies to all, that we do our karma, whatever it is, but whatever comes out of it, it is the prasad by the Lord, and if you are able to feel contentment, satisfaction out of it, it's a great virtue. It's a great virtue. So that is the lesson that I learned from Python. Then Sindhu. Sindhu is ocean. What did you learn from ocean? Very recently also, Sunandaji covered this in our Gita lectures. Chapter 2, verse 70. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti advat. Samudra, he says. Ocean is able to receive waters from all sides through all rivers, and yet it remains in that exact state of absolute fulfillment. That is the state of a Paripurna. So, into whom all the objects of desires enter, and yet he remains without a change in his Paripurna state. That is the real state I understand from the ocean. So, the ocean, tons and tons of water are adding onto it, yet it does not add any more to it. So therefore, mathematically speaking, ocean represents the state of infinite. You add any number to infinite, it remains infinite. Similarly, you can say that through evaporation, the water is being taken away also from ocean. It doesn't make any difference to the ocean, that it remains as it is. So, that I remain in that fulfilled state of Paripurna as it is, without any change, irrespective of whatever is taken out of me or whatever is poured into me. That state is what is the state of Paripurna. That is a lesson that I learned from ocean. Then he talks about Patanga. Patanga is the moth. Now he is talking about certain weaknesses of the senses and what do we and how do we learn from them. This portion can be corroborated by even the famous verse of Viveka Chudamani, which is normally quoted And Swamiji also has quoted this in very many places. So Patanga refers to the Patanga refers to the moth. What it does is that it is attracted to the light, irresistibly it goes and flies into that candle or whatever light is there. The wings get burnt. It flies with the other wing and goes, and then that also gets burnt. It will crawl and go until it burns itself completely, it will go there. That is its sort of affection for the light, as it were. So I understood what could happen if there is a weakness for sight. So this weakness for sight is what I learnt as a lesson from the moth. Then Madhukrit, or the hunter, this honeybee. This honeybee, what it does is, there are various lessons that can be said. Of course, one is the main thing, which is the weakness for smell, obviously. That apart, see, the bee goes into the flower and the flower closes, okay, so it dies there. So like moth has the weakness for eyesight, this honey bee has a weakness for smell, and all these are weakness for human beings only. We have all the five senses, and all the five weaknesses are discussed with reference to human being. So that is one thing. But another positive lesson that we can learn from honeybee is that how it, without disturbing the flower, without damaging the flower, it is able to gather honey from it. Exactly like that. This lesson comes like that. Ajagara vritti, madhukara vritti comes for sannyasins. So there are people who stay put in a place, they are at a very high stage. There are people who may go even for bhiksha, because bhiksha is something that is required for them to sustain their body, that is allowed for them. So in the modern context, how we can say is, even as a renunciate or an ashram or something which is dependent for its running on the householders, on the people of the world and society and corporate, whatever it is, you are able to draw the required things from them without hurting them. That is an art. The art of extracting whatever you need to extract. Extracting means what? For your basic sustenance. It is not that this person is a person who is hoarding food or wealth or something. If you have a cause, and if for that cause, let us say, money is required also, that money has to come from people who have money. But you have to do it in such a way that it is not putting pressure on the other person or hurting the other person. At the same time, you are able to explain and get the cause done through them. This is a lesson that honeybee can teach us. And other thing is, ultimately, do not hoard also is a lesson that we can learn from honey. Unnecessarily takes all the honey, beautiful, nice nectarine thing, but what it does is it hoards that honey, and that honey is not enjoyed by the honeybee. Somebody else takes it. So when you also extract like this, do not hoard. When you have a purpose, take it and it must be used. That is the way it must be related. The money must be related to. If you hoard, you may not be able to enjoy it. Somebody else may enjoy it. Next guru is Gaja, or elephant. This elephant has the weakness for skin. So about the five senses weakness, what is covered is the eyes, the nose and the skin. Elephant has this weakness, and in the mating season it runs helter-skelter and it falls into the pit that is dug by the hunters. And even as they starve the elephant, they bring in a trained female elephant and make that female elephant touch the male elephant. In that sense of touch, it forgets everything and gives out a cry as though I am your slave, please save me, like that it is. And then such a huge elephant which can take care of maybe thousands of men becomes a slave of one man. Why? Because of the weakness of touch. And we also have that weakness. So I learned from elephant what can happen if a person has a weakness for touch. Then it is the hunter. This Same thing, what we covered in the honeybee only, is the hunter who specifically hunts honey. So, from the honeybee's point of view, that you must not hoard, right? And what does the hunter actually do is, he does not hoard. Whenever and whatever, like you say, eagle is a great hunter, right? Even in the animal kingdom, tiger is a great hunter. What does the tiger do? Whenever it wants, it goes for a hunt, kills something, eats it. That's all it is. Like that must be your attitude, he says. Do not get the wrong message. The point is, whenever and whatever you want, you have to go and procure it for your satisfaction. That's all it is. There is no point hoarding anything beyond your need. So your karma must be in such a way that whatever is required, that will be provided, and that is what it is meant for. If you hoard beyond a point, you may not be able to enjoy it, and that is not what is you will not be able to have that freedom. If you hoard something, what happens? You are bound by that, isn't it? That's what Shylock character shows in Merchant of Venice, that when he is extremely attached to money, that no aspect of money or any relationship with money is able to enjoy money. Whether it is procurement of money, whether it is safeguarding money, whether it is parting with money, a person who is attached to money is going to suffer because of this. So if you are going to hoard something, to that extent you become weak and bound with it. So like a hunter, he says, be free from everything. So extricating yourself out of samsara is the essential lesson here. Mriga. Mriga means deer. So in the same sequence of senses, the deer has a weakness for ears. So they play a very bass music, and even though if it is hiding and there is a lurking danger that it can sense, the deer comes out into the open. When it comes out into the open, the hunters either catch it, shoot it, or in the net it is caught, something like that. All that is happening because it has an irresistible weakness for the sound. Its ears always pop up to listen to this sound. So that is what is the weakness that I should not fall into, is what I learned from deer. And in the sequence, the last is fish. Fish has a weakness for tongue. Fish may not have tongue, but the weakness for eating something, gobbling all the time. So the angle is thrown or the net is thrown with some bait, and it is going for the bait and it ultimately gets caught. So the weakness for taste, that is what I learned from fish. Then who is the next guru? He says Pingala. Who is this Pingala? Pingala is the story of a prostitute. In the Mithila kingdom she is there. So she dresses herself up and waits for the customers in the night. Who is this man who is going to come and satisfy me? That is her wait. That is her longing. That's her yearning. Each and every person who comes and walks along the street, she looks at him and she feels there will be a better person. There will be a better customer. There will be a better customer like that. She waits and waits, and what happens is that midnight has passed and she is now feeling hungry also, because no customer has come, nothing has happened, and she gets a feeling of disgust with herself. She says, why am I in this profession? Many people are, many women, they are married and they are settled with one husband, and they have their lives running okay, and look at me, like a very pathetic life that I am leading, looking for customers and not satisfied, and who will come or not come. Can I not have also like that a fixated person to whom I can relate to? In that deep sense of sorrow and anguish, a sort of a vairagya comes into her mind. And suddenly she hears a voice that, yes, I am there for you all the time. And that is the Purusha, or the real Purusha, who is there within her. So then the story goes on to say that she becomes a great renunciate and understands the value of the self within. And that is why, not only that, this kingdom of Mithila is abound with various people like that who can be in a profession of prostitution or in a profession of butcher, you know that story of a butcher who gives the knowledge, Upanishadic knowledge to a great Brahmin or a king. He is also from the kingdom of Mithila, and the king of Mithila is Janaka, who is a Brahmajnani. So Mithila itself is a very great kingdom of Brahmajnanis, and she also goes on that path only. But this is the lesson that I learned from Pingala, that I must learn to talk to that person within me, who is there always waiting for me, who will never ever say no to me, who is there, in the best of the times and worst of the times he will never leave me. Why am I not looking at him and I am looking at all those passing people on the road? So exactly like that permanent factor, that real self within me, ignoring that, why am I looking into the impermanent aspects of life? This is the lesson that I learned from Pingala, he says. Then who is the Guru? Sparrow. Sparrow is the Guru. What does the sparrow do? This sparrow, somewhere it goes and takes a small piece of meat or something that it has brought, a worm or a meat or something like that. As it is going towards its nest, it sees that above that sparrow, a crow is circling, because the crow has seen that it is carrying some meat in its mouth, and the crow is circling. Above the crow, some other bigger bird is circling. It has also watched it. Above that, maybe an eagle is circling. The sparrow for a moment thinks, my God, all these great birds are circling around me, and all because of what? All because of this piece of meat, right? It throws that meat away by the side, and it sees that all the birds are now going there and fighting for that. So, this I learned from sparrow, that the moment I get attached to my possessions, I am encircled by people, and those people who even may appear as my friends are also, they are not really encircling me as a person, they are encircling for what I have. Bhajagovindam says this again and again. What it says? Yavad vitto parjana saktaha tavan nija parivaro raktaha paschat jivati jarjara dehe vartam kopina pruchati ke. As long as you have this capacity to earn money, retinue will be there. Otherwise, even in the wife in your house will not respect you, it says in a very practical way. That's what it is. So, if I am able to have that dispossessive attitude, I have no problem at all. So, whichever area I am dispossessed from that area there is no fear. So, I have no fear of crow or anything now, because I am not having any possessive attitude towards that. There is the great book Tirukkural has various chapters, and chapter on renunciation also. One of the Kural says, I'll say it in Tamil first. The meaning is simple. It says Yadanin Ningiyan Nondan Adanin Ilan. This is probably the only Kural. 1330 Kurals are there. This is the only verse in which, when you say, the lips don't touch each other. Lips touch each other only because of the consonants which are there in the pa varga, which is palatal. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So in Tamil there is no pa, pa, ba, ba, no, only pa and ma. So pa and ma are not there in this verse. So when you say this Yadanin, Ningiyan, Nondan, Adanin, Ilan, say the lips don't touch. At least when you say this, you have to remember that there is no attachment, renunciation. There is detachment. This is a lesson from this verse. But what this verse says is, Yadanin, Ningiyan, Nondan means from whichever object you distance yourself, you detach yourself. From that object there is no fear for you. There is no pain for you. This is the lesson of dispossessive attitude that I learned from Sparrow. Then who is your Guru? Balakaha. Balakaha means child. What is it that you learn from the child? Actually, child is a great teacher. Jnani is also called as Balavat. Balavat means like a child he is. So what is it that you learn from the child? First and foremost thing is that the child has no body consciousness. It is okay with whatever way it appears. Exactly like that is a jnani who is also beyond body consciousness. And this attitude of growing out of my body consciousness is what I learned from a child. Then the child also has no worries of the past, no anxiety for the future. It lives in the present. Therefore, the child has boundless energy. This I learned from the child, that I must also live in the present without worrying about the past or the future. I will have boundless energy, and this example is often quoted by Swamiji. So, a person who is free from the past and the future is like a child, and that is what is the state of a jnani. This is a lesson, therefore we can learn from the child. Then he says, Kumari. Again, Kumari is a girl. It pertains to a story. There is a small girl. Maybe in the good old days they get married, the children, at a young age. So the groom or the groom's family is going to visit this girl's family to look at this girl, look at this daughter. And by which time the girl's parents for some reason is not there. But being brought up in the nice way, this girl receives the guests well, and she wants to prepare for them something and give for eating. So she pounds, what do you call that? Puffed rice. Chuda type of thing, you know that one. So that pounding is done with this rod. When she is doing that in the kitchen or in the backyard, she is wearing bangles on both the hands. Lot of bangles are there, and this bangle is making lot of noises. So she feels shy and removes all the bangles one by one, and finally only two bangles on each hand it is there. Even then it makes some noise. Then she removes one bangle from each and left with only one bangle. There is no noise. I mean, this is just a story, but what is the lesson here? This is what it is. I have learnt the greatness of being in solitude. Whenever there are people around, invariably there will be a lot of noise, lot of discussion, and lot of noise, but without any substance. So it really, for a person who is introvert and who wants to really value time and who wants to really learn, that is not something that he will relish. That is why in the Jnani's qualities he says, Arathir Janasamsati. He does not revel in, he is not a party animal. He will not revel in a group of people. He will like to be in solitude. So even if it is two people, there will be slight noise, there will be slight argument, there will be slight thing. You be all yourself alone, that is a great blessing or a boon. That is why great Mahatmas, when they are given imprisonment or something, they do not feel bad about it. Best of some of the poetries have come from great people when they were in the prison. Left to themselves, they are okay. It is a weakness of the person that he wants to interact with people dependent on them. There is no self-sufficiency. So the self-sufficiency is the lesson that I learnt from the episode of this girl. He talks about an archer as the guru. What does this archer do? Archer is sharpening his arrows. He is taking aim at the target. The king of the land has come near him and he is standing next to him. The archer is oblivious to the entire thing. He is totally focused on sharpening the arrows and the target that he is looking at in the tree. And the king finally appreciates him and goes. He says that the king has come, nothing he was knowing because he was totally focused on this. This is what I learned from the archer as what is the importance of focus. What is the importance of concentration? Irrespective of whatever is happening. We saw this in the Arjuna's episode in Mahabharata also. When everybody sees everything, Dronacharya asks, what do you see? Yudhishthira says, I see the tree, I see this, Akash, Bhumi, everything. Duryodhana says, I see the river also, this also, and all the people standing here. He says, everybody disqualifies. Then he asks Arjuna, what do you see? I see only the eye of the bird. Nothing else he sees. Nothing else means nothing else is visible to him. That must be your focus. if we do not get this focus in our generalized activities, which we will see in the next Upanishad class, because he talks about Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana, Yoga, Davahi. This Dhyana is only focus. This focus, if we do not get in our activities, where are we going to get that single pointed focus in meditation? So this focus of mind is what I learned from the archer. Then I learned from the next guru, which is the snake, normal snake. What does the normal snake do? A snake does not build a nest of its own. It doesn't have a house of its own. It lives in the anthill. It lives in some burrow in the tree, or somebody else has created something, it goes there and lives. Like that it is. So it is representing the quality of aniketa, or attitude of not having a home of one's own. What does that mean? Is a dispossessive attitude towards your own possession. When you go and stay in a hotel, you enjoy all the facilities of the hotel, but you understand that it doesn't belong to you, isn't it? See, particularly, of course, now the situation may not be that bad in Calcutta, but it used to be like that. What the scripture says, that it says, treat your own house as a rented house. Okay? You must treat your own house as a rented house, take care of it, be maintaining everything must be proper, all that is fine, but you must be detached from it in the sense that as though you are living there as a tenant, like that you must behave. Why it is being said that is, finally this body, which is the house where Atma is housed, is also a temporary stay. So unless you are creating so much of possessive attitude towards the external house, where are you going to create the dispossessive attitude towards this house finally? Right? So it is said that treat your own house as the rented house. But what people do is, rented house they treat as their own house. That is why many, even at the time when I came to Calcutta also, I am talking about early 2000, people will not rent out their house very easily. Even if they keep it locked, it's fine for them, because the laws of the tenants are also, they are very much favorable. They stay there for some time, it is very difficult to evict them, and with all the heartburn, then the owner has to give that house to the tenant. Very sad actually. Many people have done like that. So, others' house you treat it as your own, where the scripture says your own house you treat it as rented house. And this is what I learned from the snake. Urnanabi, spider. Spider is the guru. It's a famous metaphor in Mundaka Upanishad. From spider, I understood how the spontaneity of creation has taken place. Spider spins the web out of itself, and when the game is over, it swallows everything and goes away. Exactly like that, Brahman creates this universe out of no other material outside itself. The material cause and the efficient cause, both are Brahman only. And before the web is spun, it is a very fat and a big spider. After the web is spun, it becomes a lean spider. Nothing like that. Spider remains the same. Exactly like that. Thousands of universe can be created out of Brahman, yet Poornam Adah, Poornasya Poornam Adah, Poornameva Vashishyate. Even after having infinite things come out of it, the Poornam remains a Poornam only. Brahman remains as it is only. So the material cause, going back into it, and the Poornam state, this is the real state of Brahman, and this is very beautifully explained by the example of spider. So, and lastly, the 24th guru is the worm. This worm here refers to this, what do you call that? Larva, pupa, or something, which is going to become the butterfly. Brahmara Kita Nyaya is there, something in this Sanskrit. This it's not exactly the butterfly also. I forgot the name in English. See, either it is the mother or something, it keeps on pecking it. It keeps on pecking it actually to the extent that whatever is the covering that is there, it finally goes away, but ultimately it flies. It is some insect like that. That is what it means. When we use the term Brahmarakit also, it is like that it is. So finally he says that you are a restricted, constricted individual like that, imagining yourself to be a very small creature, having no freedom at all, but that is constantly, told to you by the Guru that you are the self, you are the self, you are the self, you are the self, you are the self. With this constant knowledge, he makes sure that all your coverings are taken out. And once all the coverings are taken out, you regain your original nature and you, as it were, fly. The erstwhile condition of you as a worm and the current condition where you are flying has no connection at all. So our limited, restricted, constricted experience of being a jiva in this body, mind, intellect is one life, and the self-realized soul, that our original state, is completely a different thing. And how does it come? It comes by the constant pecking. Therefore, I understand that I need to have that anusandhan that I am the self, I am the self. And this is what is the grace of the Guru. What does the true Guru do? The true Guru does nothing else except giving you the knowledge that you are the self. So constantly he instills this thought in you through his conduct, through his lectures, through his whatever it is. Or let us put it this way, he is a true Guru who only instills this knowledge. He has no other interest. When that constant knowledge is instilled upon us and you do that anusandhan all the time, suddenly one day you develop wings and fly. This is what I learnt from the worm. And finally he says, the Deha itself is the Guru, because body, I understand, is the obstacle in the sadhana, but I give it as much respect because it is housing the Atma, so I need to maintain it. It always draws our attention away from the self, but I understand that it is a vehicle that needs to be maintained. To that extent we respect the body. Ultimately my aim is to get out of that body. So saying, Avadhuta walks off and Yadu Maharaja is fulfilled. So Yadu Maharaj goes out there, because ultimately anything that you have, finally that peace of mind, that satisfaction, that sense of fulfillment, that is what really counts, isn't it? All the wealth that we have, all the relationship that we have, all that is fine, but that sense of satisfaction, if it is not there, everything else becomes like a shunya. So the story goes on to say that Yadu Maharaja went out as a wise person. He was blessed by Avadhuta with this Avadhuta Gita. So our lesson for this is that keep our eyes and ears open. The Jagat is the Guru, and we conclude by saying Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.